So I think one of again, kind of to lay the foundation, I think one of the things that I've heard you talk about is the importance of being able to really be in tune with our body and know how to listen to our body and to let it provide us with certain pieces of feedback. How can we really accurately be able to listen to our bodies? Because I think a lot of people have a have certain relationship with how their body is feeling that is maybe somewhat inaccurate based off of whatever. So how can we accurately listen to our body so that it can give us feedback that is useful?
Well, the first thing is practice and it's patience and it's spending time returning to yourself time and time and time again. It's like the person who's like, "Well, I tried meditating once and it didn't work." It's like, "Well, it takes a while." Many of us have had adversarial relationships with our bodies where our bodies have not historically felt like a safe space for us to occupy. And that may be because we have done things to our bodies or other things have been done to our bodies. And so we have to always make space and acknowledge that there's a reason why we kind of go offline or lose that communication with our body. And reestablishing that line of communication is a practice. It takes time. So you have to continuously come back, continuously build that self trust by returning to yourself. You don't abandon yourself or go dark on yourself or ghost yourself in your time of need, you know? So that's a really important thing to understand. But in, let's say, using food as an example, how do we trust ourselves with knowing how to feed ourselves? Because that's pretty important. Give yourself the benefit of starting with a framework and then figure out how you feel in response to what you're doing. So like people will be like, how many grams of protein do I need? What should I eat for breakfast? Should I intermittent fast? How many carbs do I need in this section of my cycle? And it's like, well, I don't know, try try it out and see how you feel. So there's like some metrics that we can kind of work through. I mean, we've all become like super obsessed with external metrics and external data points. Like we all have the CGMs, we have the HRVs, we have the cycle trackers, we have the food sensitivity test. Like we have all the external data points. Based on my point of view, like what I'm seeing with my clients and what I'm seeing with people is like that hasn't brought us any closer to understanding ourselves. In fact, in a lot of cases, it's taken us further away because we're hyper reliant on external data points versus internal data points of like, how am I feeling? So anytime you try something new, whether it's like a cold plunge or a new diet, there's some things that you want to look into. Like, what is my energy like? Does it improve my energy? Does it make it worse? Do I feel more energized or less? How is my sleep? Is it improving my sleep? So a lot of women will attempt intermittent fasting, for example, and they notice that their sleep just like goes in the gutter. So it puts menstruating women into such a stress response that we kind of lose our ability to sleep appropriately. Exercise endurance. Do you feel good during your exercise? Do you feel good after you exercise? What is your recovery like? What is your motivation like? So all of these things are things we can do to track. How about your mood? Do you feel happy? Do you feel sad? Do you feel anxious? These are all the internal data points that I'm talking about. It's like how our bodies are responding. And this stuff doesn't just happen overnight. It's not just like, oh, I asked myself I did one check-in and now I have all of the answers. It takes time. And we have to have some patience, which, historically we're not very good at when it comes to new habits.
Yeah, no, we definitely are not. And I like how you said we kind of need to follow a framework. We need to follow something first and then be able to observe ourselves and how we respond to that framework. But I think kind of as you mentioned, so many times because we're impatient, we bounce around from trying this framework, trying that framework, trying that framework, trying that framework. And I think oftentimes one framework might work, but you don't do it for long enough, and then you try a completely other extreme framework that those two are very competing, and so you're doing yourself a huge disservice by trying competing frameworks, because a lot of frameworks can work, but they work for different people and for different reasons, and they don't work in conjunction with each other. I'm sure it's person by person, but when somebody comes to you and they're all out of whack, maybe they've tried one extreme framework, another extreme framework, how do you kind of bring them back to center to try maybe a framework that allows them to feel like they have confidence in where to move next?
Well, this is kind of a cheat answer because I've been doing this work for a long time. So I've built out my own frameworks. So I can just, be like, try this. I have programs and nutrition programs and functional medicine programs that gives somebody like a starter point. So that is my little cheat answer. But and I want to say that like what you said is so bang on. It's that we like pendulum swing and we like framework hop. We're like, okay, I did that for 2 weeks. I didn't see results. I'm going to hop over here and then I'm going to hop over here. And so in our head, we start collecting evidence that like nothing works for me. When it's like, does it not work for you? Or did you just not give yourself enough space and time to see how your body really responds? Because when we start building up evidence that nothing works for me, and then we start believing that nothing works for me, that's a really defeatist attitude to have about our health. Like it feels really hopeless. It feels like despair. And that is the hole that I have to like dig a lot of people out of. Is like, I've tried everything. I've tried it all. I've done it all. Nothing works for me. And it's like, well, maybe we just need a different approach. Maybe we just need like a different attitude to bring to a similar framework that you've already tried. And so that is very individualized based on somebody's starting point.